Hello and welcome to Fidelity Next, live on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Emily Ananuevo, and I'm excited to moderate today's conversation all about a career in tech at Fidelity Canada. Fidelity is known as one of the country's leading investment management companies, but what you may not know is that technology is a huge part of what we do and how we operate. From cybersecurity solutions to software development, we have many tech positions that appeal to all sorts of skill sets and levels of experience. Today we'll share what tech-related job opportunities we have at Fidelity and what skill sets you need to be successful in this type of role. And joining me today to expand on these topics and more are two very special guests from Fidelity, Russel Kaunds, VP of Infrastructure Services Group, and Michael Desbiens, Director of Infrastructure and Support. Welcome to you both. So happy to have you here in the studio.
Glad to be here.
Happy to be here.
Glad that we can talk about this very important topic about recruiting, people into the tech field here in Fidelity. And like I said off the top, what many people may not know is that we have an expansive technology team here. But before we get started into that topic, I want you to introduce yourselves to the audience. Let us know what your role entails here at Fidelity. Russell, if I can start with you.
Sure, Emily. So I'm responsible for the foundational layers of the infrastructure stack or the technology stack. So anything to do with hardware, operating systems, databases, virtualization, and the like, including network connects between applications as well as between regional offices within Canada is my responsibility. We are also morphing into managing cloud applications. So more of cloud governance and operations is also going to be part of our job soon.
Okay, already learning so much vocabulary, tech vocabulary in that explanation. Now, Russell, you've been here at Fidelity for over 20 years. Let the audience know, what has kept you here for so long, and what is it about your job that you love so much?
Yeah, so I'll probably go back in time a ways. So, just after my undergrad, I dabbled with a few accounting roles and then found tech to be a very, very fascinating space. It's ever changing. There is always some excitement in that area. There's innovation. And to me, it's about, using technology appropriately to bring benefit to customers as well as a business alike. And that's what's kept me in technology all through my career, including Fidelity for the last 20 years. Amazing. It's been a wonderful journey.
Yeah, for sure. Amazing story right there. And Michael, if you can explain in your role what you do day in, day out, and you've been here at Fidelity for quite some time too, what made you pursue this field?
So I've been with Fidelity for about 4 years, so a little bit less than Russell. And my team pretty much is under Russell, but I oversee what I would say 3 different departments. So one is called more of the end user services. So that includes the help desk, so where people call if they need help or if they need support with their technology. And we also have what we call the desktop support team. So those are, the team on the floors helping the users with their technology, any issues they might have. So they usually, we see them walking around the floor and helping people. And I also have other teams. So I have a team more focused on server management or collaboration systems. So we're talking about really the back-end infrastructure. So what people don't see but needs to be up all day, all night to make sure that our business is running. And finally, I also oversee a team of telecommunication people, this team is more responsible for the connectivity of all of our system, whether it's through the internet internally with our other offices, as well as what connects us to the world. So telephony, video conferencing, all of those different technology. And the reason why I'm in this field is a very good question. As far as I can remember, I remember seeing my father working on an old Commodore 64 computers, and I've always amazed by computers. I wanted to know what it was. And I just went in this field knowing that this was something that seemed very interesting. And what I learned through it is it's an ever-changing field of technology, never stop growing, never stop evolving. So you never stop learning, and that's why I love it so much.
That's amazing. Excellent. Now, Fidelity Canada is known to be a financial services and investment management company, but what people may not know is that we have an expansive technology team, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Russell, if I can start with you, what type of tech-related roles do we have available at Fidelity?
Yeah, so perhaps I'll start off the question and move it to Michael to answer the rest. So we have roles across the spectrum. of technology. So there could be the more traditional engineering and development roles, as well as more emerging technology or emerging disciplines like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and the like, and of course cloud. So we are hiring through all spectrums, and maybe Michael can talk a little more about the exact roles that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, a bit in details. What we have open right now goes from desktop technician. We're talking about developers role. We're talking about data architect roles, system architect, security roles. So as Russel mentioned and you mentioned, there's really the whole spectrum of IT is currently represented in what we're looking for. So we're actively hiring for those roles currently.
And I think this would be a perfect time to tell our audience that we actually have a QR code that they can scan during the show that leads them directly to our careers website, directly to a list of our active and open job openings. So just scan that QR code and you can be taken to the careers site, or you can just visit our website at fidelity.ca/careers. Now, you listed off a lot of tech-related positions. If you can just grab a few of those positions and explain in detail what kind of skill sets, what kind of levels of experience do you need to fill some of those roles, like the architect role or AI? Because I know that many young viewers who may be watching right now may be a little intimidated with sort of the level experience you need in a very sort of heavy tech-related role. So maybe you can just break that down and let our audience know what kind of skill sets and level experience you need.
Yeah, so the entry or the basic criteria is out on the websites attached to the respective job descriptions. So there are all the way from entry-level roles to more senior roles. So it all depends on the role, really, Emily. So I would direct people to the website to look for the minimum entry criteria to be able to position themselves, for those roles.
And anything to add on to that, Michael, in terms of being part of the tech team here? What kind of characteristics are you looking for?
Yeah, I would say if someone who wants to start a career in technology, one thing that I always say is they need to be curious and they need to be willing to continuously learn. It's not because you're finished your school that you can think that you're done and then you can start working. As I mentioned earlier, technology is an ever-evolving field, and then you need to be ready to learn, retrain yourself, and work on new technology. And that's probably one of the most important aspects of starting a career in tech.
So always keeping up to date with technologies,
yes.
and always having a will to learn, right? Like you
exactly.
said, be curious.
Yeah.
Russell, you've obviously worked with many members of the tech team over the years. What sort of characteristics stand out to you in terms of somebody being successful in their role here at Fidelity?
Yes, so other than obviously the basic entry criteria, you get your foot in the door. What I personally look for, like Michael said, is a curious mindset, an innovative mindset, someone who is an idea generator, someone who can use technology or see the opportunity in technology and use it to the benefit of business and customers. So people who are forward thinking, who can know how to apply the technology to business, different business issues or solve problems, that's something that I look for inherently. And Fidelity does offer a lot of training, and we send people into training sessions, conferences. So we do really support people moving from one role to the other and growing in their career.
Michael, I'm just curious, like I mentioned, the young person who's just starting out their career in tech, what sorts of positions do you think they should look for, and how should they start the whole application process? Any tips to give there?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the field. I think technology, or in our case, is kind of divided into, we have the infrastructure and the support, and we also have the development and running all our applications. I think on the infrastructure and the support, the entry jobs usually are the help desk, the support teams, and all those. And those are really open for people straight out of school, to be honest. People can apply, and there's good chances as long as they have the right customer service skills and they have the basic knowledge, they have good chance to be part of the team. Now, when it comes to the development side of things, I think it's a bit different. You need to have more of a portfolio, show that what you have accomplished, what you've been able to develop, even if it's not in an organization, maybe you're straight out of school, you can still have work on personal projects where you can demonstrate your skills and what you've been able to do.
Great advice. Get that portfolio going. Even if you don't think it's directly, related to that specific position, it could still obviously illustrate what sort of skills you have,
Exactly.
right? Now, like I mentioned, Fidelity has an expansive technology team. Michael, I'm just curious, how does Fidelity leverage the new technologies that come up and keep themselves up to date?
That's a very good question. So we always look for what's going to help us from a business standpoint, right? We have to remember that the technology is there to support the business. So we usually work with our business partners and present, solution ideas of what we've seen in the market, and they also do the same. And then we usually work together to try to leverage those new technology when it makes sense for us and when it really helps the business moving forward.
I can probably add to that if you don't mind. Fidelity Canada is part of the global Fidelity powerhouse, and we are in numerous countries, and we have tech associates working across the world. So there is a lot of collaboration and research that goes into adopting new technologies, and we benefit from all of that for the success of the business. So, again, like I want to impress that Fidelity is global in this sense.
Exactly. Fidelity Canada is just one part of, like you said, a global team around the world. And that's a perfect segue into my next question, Russell, about the company culture here at Fidelity. You've been here many years. What is it about the culture here that is appealing?
So Fidelity, I'd say off the bat, is very, very collaborative. People do work very, very well together. And that it's almost like a family, I would say. And over the years, you get to know people, new people integrate into the company really, really well. We've won a numerous amount of awards, in this space, from a culture standpoint, from diversity and inclusion. I cannot remember all of those awards. But I would emphasize, it's a very compassionate company as well, and a family-friendly company. And I can say I've experienced the support firsthand, so which I'm very grateful for.
Amazing, yeah, and some of those accolades this year is Canada's top family-friendly companies to work for, and I know one of the top companies in Canada for young people. So, great list there. Michael, if you want to add to that in terms of the community and culture here, what would you say sets Fidelity apart from other companies?
Yeah, I really like what Russell mentioned. I really think working for Fidelity is working for a big family. That's how I see it. I would agree the work-life balance here is amazing, and also all of our activities that we do, whether it's for company activities or D&I activities, we have a lot of different group that works together to make this culture more inclusive and also an enjoyable place to work. And I think one thing I would like to add is we're a successful organization. Fidelity does very well, and I think what everybody in Fidelity can for sure knows is they're part of that success. The communication is very transparent, and we really feel at every level that we're part of the success and that we matter in what Fidelity does. And I think for me, that's one of the best things you can find in an organization is knowing that your role makes a difference at every level.
And is that what motivates you to do your job day in and day out? That was my next question. I mean, especially the last few years with the pandemic and now the hybrid working environment. What sort of motivates you to come to your job and just work in day out?
Yeah, so Fidelity offers a lot of opportunities, even beyond your primary area of responsibility. And I can say for myself, I have been trusted with very, very large projects, whether they've been cross-border or business startups in the initial days. And that's something that I don't see in too many places. And, you step out of your comfort zone, you prove yourself, and opportunities will come your way. And Fidelity supports you through this journey as well. So it's just been wonderful.
Would you agree with that, Michael, just being a valued team member?
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, knowing that what we will come in this morning to do will make a difference in the end, I think is what keeps me coming. And also, there's a lot of changes. So, what is the next change? What's around the corner? What are we going to be working on in 6 months is something that's always excited to find out.
Excellent. So we have a few more minutes left, and I wanted to bring it back to the topic of tech-related positions here at Fidelity. Now, just to summarize, somebody who is starting out in the field, how can they best prepare themselves for that first interview, for that first job in the tech field?
Well, I think what's most important is that people always worry about experience. And if you're just starting your career, obviously the experience is not there. What's important is to demonstrate that you have the skill and the willingness to learn, and that you can integrate in a team very well, so that you're a team player. We all work in teams here. There's not a lot of individual contributor role. Everybody is part of a team, and to be able to demonstrate that, maybe while you were at school, you did some good projects with your team members, and that led to some great success. That will show that you can do the job and you can get there, and the experience will come eventually.
Excellent. Russell?
And I'd say your first role is not necessarily your last role in Fidelity. We've seen growth and movement through the organization and various people, and we support that wholeheartedly. And we'll train people. We'll make sure they're successful in the next stage of their career that they want to get to.
Excellent. And what are you most looking forward to this year in 2023 at Fidelity, Russell?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I'm always excited about every year at Fidelity, but this year more than ever, the number of projects that we have on the docket has far exceeded anything I've seen in my 20 years here. Now, some are one-year projects, some span multiple years, based on what we're looking at. It's an interesting time because when you look at the tech space, you see a lot of bad news. There's a lot of stagnation and layoffs, and we are actually bucking that trend and hiring actively to support these initiatives and these positions. It's really an exciting time for me this year, and beyond, I would say.
And for you, Michael?
Well, I think Russell said it perfectly. There's so many projects, so many change coming. There's so much work to do, but exciting work. To me, that's what I'm looking for the most. It's already started, and then it's going to be a pretty good year for us.
Michael, Russell, I just want to thank you both for being here on the show today, sharing your insights and thoughts on how to get started in a career in tech, and sharing some expertise when it comes to what job opportunities are available at Fidelity. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us again.
Now, before we go, I want to remind our viewers that Fidelity Canada is currently hiring for a variety of tech-related roles. So you can access a list of current job openings by scanning the QR code, like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, or by visiting fidelity.ca/careers. Now, once you scan the code, it will lead you to a list of open jobs, plus insights into our interview process and more. Fidelity is constantly hiring and actively looking to fill a variety of job roles, and as one of Canada's top employers for young people, we would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you next time on Fidelity Next.